particularly as it pertains to me, because I knew I probably would go school, college, and the path I'm on, I kind of sensed I probably would do that. But aside from that, I will own blocks and blocks. It's never too late to own blocks and blocks, but I should have been thinking about it more. But it's like I said, it's a double-edged sword, because you got to grind so hard to survive in one world that it's not always so easy. But I would have.
But you bring me into, because that's going to be one of our shows, Self Love, and we're going to get some brothers in here. Hopefully, Brother Pullen isn't too offended, by my commentary today, but we're going to get a real estate, panel together. Hopefully you can come back for that as well and talk about strategies, for people and how they can invest and what areas you guys might be looking at. Maybe we can do something like that. I know Brother Pullen had agreed to be on a panel, for realty. So, we'll get some other brothers on it. I think that's something that would be something great. That's for adults and the teens. So, all right.
Great question, though.
Okay, well, we're wrapping them up, bro. We're at the end. I know your time is valuable. Can you share a personal situation where you felt the impact of racism, either professionally or just, outside the lines?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We touched on one earlier. I think I'm going to make a real broad statement first, real quick. I mean, obviously, my career is laced with subliminals. It took me a long time. I mean, I talked about my path, but it took a real long time for me to kind of break a certain ceiling. And I think the only reason I was able to break it was obviously, due to God. In God's time, I was able to break that. We got that. That's the real answer. But I would like to add to that, and it's just the consistency, as you know, Milz. That discipline that I talked about. You know what I mean, Torry? I never really had a bump in the road. I never really messed with a girl or a chick at the gig. I never, I have a certain level of discipline that allowed me to kind of just continue to creep. Right. But at any point, had I slipped on a banana, it would have been lights out. So the point that I'm making is that from a career perspective, the subliminals are there. So that's how I'm answering that short question. The subliminals are there. I experience it every day in my career. Obviously, got to go above and beyond to try and be as good or better. As a Black, I'm saying to be rated as well or better. You have to go above and beyond and just get the equal treatment. So that's that. And then on another level, I know, you're really trying to do something meaningful here with the podcast, and you are, for the youth and for single moms out there. The reality is when we talk about the Lindblom, the first time I had a gun pulled on me was by the police. I was 13, and it's down catching a train down on 63rd, and that's racism, man. I wasn't.
We got a 12 story here, Self. Go ahead. No, this is a 12 story. Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us about
12 horror stories.
Yeah. We live for this. We won't glorify it, but it's the first time that, obviously having a gun pulled on you, having a gun in your face, it's kind of like, well, again, and I say this all the time, if someone's breaking the law, I'm a little more amenable to at least listening to what happened. I get that part of it. But when someone is not necessarily armed.
Well, let's get some details. You're 13 years old. Were you alone? Were you with people? What happened?
Yeah, I was with about 4 guys, man. We're running hard on 63rd Street, trying to get the train to 95th. Because again, when you're on the move, the best thing to do is to keep moving. So just jumping off the bus, we see the train is coming, 63rd, talking about the A train back to 95th. This is on the way home. So we run down. Guys are jumping the turnstiles. That's very guys are jumping the turnstiles and that kind of thing. This particular day, 5 was down there. So they up the guns, and as soon as you kind of jump the turnstile, they got them on you. So, that was the first time. So,
but they pulled a gun out on you for jumping the turnstiles, bro.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, they were going, you know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. Like,
and we had the transfers. In our day, we had the so you had the transfers out. So you're legal, you're just not pushing it through the machine to get it back. You're trying to, but you're
catch the
good.
bus. I'm trying to catch the train. I mean, you're trying to catch it.
But,
so
you've paid. You got the transfer.
And you pay because the CTA is quasi-private and is quasi-public. So your parents are probably paying taxes. I mean, you pulling guns on 13-year-old citizens for jumping the turnstile, man.
Never forget that, man. Never forget that. Crazy crime up the stairs. Crazy crime up the stairs.
As somebody, like, can you imagine if that was your son and he came home and told you he jumped the turnstile and somebody pulled out the gun? I mean, maybe I live in a different world. Maybe I live in a different world because people tell me, yeah, he should have put the gun to his head.
But yeah, man, those are my first couple of situations. One, I think, is the subliminal that goes with the workplace, sort of a corporate environment, and then the other one is that one, man. I think that's a bit extreme. And sometimes people say, well, what makes that racism? Well, you wouldn't pull it on anybody else. You wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't pull it. Yeah, all right, that's our 12 story. Okay.
Period.
Well,
you would. I always say, like, we go home in a bag unarmed, and armed people that's murdered people go to Burger King. You know what I mean? They take them and they celebrate what they did. Like,
make sure they're fed,
fed. They don't ever go home in the bag though. They, be out there,
and they shouldn't,
killing people, and no one should.
Exactly.
I just want to state that, but
exactly,
people, they disarm.
Well, some people should, but not in what we're talking about. Right.
They disarm them. They come there and they say, okay, well,
Yeah. Okay. JB, any spiritual advice or words of wisdom, something that you might have picked up from parents, grandparents, or just along the way, something that you hang your hat on? Like for me, we had a saying, the race doesn't go to the strong, the swift, the high, the mighty, but the one who endures to the end. So you got anything like that from your family or from yourself that you could share that we could put in our toolkit?
You know what? I don't have an adage or anything quite like that, Brother Mills, that comes to mind, offhand. But the one thing that I will say is that I live and breed the development of those that come behind us. I think you know that. So I'm big on coaching. I'm big on giving back. It's kind of instilled in me. I don't think it was taught to me, but it's definitely in me. But, I coach shorties of all races, all ethnicities, 4 baseball games a day. We go baseball hard, but I coach football, basketball, baseball.
Yeah.
My little guys in martial arts. I really do believe in just developing the kids that come behind us. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's big to me. Yeah,
well, we got a question in the chat for you. What is your digital? This is from Phantom Muhammad. What year did you come out of Lindblom? And also, financial advice for up and coming people that want in on the growth and development. Great questions, Phantom. Great questions. So you got that, JB?
No, say it again. What advice?
The first was, what year did you come out of Lindblom?
Okay, 88.
All right. And then it says, what is your digital financial advice for up and coming people? And we might have to get your ship in here with this digital advice, but advice for up and coming people that want in on growth and development. I'm
not necessarily a digital guru, but digital, transformations and analytics, those things are really big, as I'm sure, that person knows. My advice would be to make sure that you can, come up with solutions that bridge the gap between all this technology and the folks that need goods and services. So for example, again, I'll speak to the pharmaceutical industry because that's the one I know. So we've got an aging community that need drugs. They need drugs, they need vitals, they need information, and they need information quickly. So what you want to do from a digital perspective is you want to get to the table with a pharmaceutical company, either an up and coming, biotech, biopharma type company, an upstart, or you want to go into one of these multi-billion-dollar companies that grow around a couple $100,000 in a contract. And what you want to tell them is, hey, From my research, I see that you've got, let's call it an orphan drug. So an orphan drug would be a drug that's disseminated to less than 200,000 people, in terms of a total patient population. So you want to go to the table as a digital guy and you say, hey, I know you've got 180,000 patients in the United States. And I know that they need your drug pretty regularly and they need to administer it pretty regularly. And I know that there are important vitals that those people need to know in terms of how much dosage they need to take, because their vitals may go up and down, and based on that, they use dosaging. I've got a solution, guys. I've got this app. If you allow me for $200,000 to install this app on all 180,000 of your patients, your patient population, they can simply go to the app, they can see what their vitals are, they can see their dosing, and they can report that to their doctor ASAP. Their doctor simultaneously gets that while the company gets it, and as a result, everything improves. So prescriptions go up, our volumes go up, the supply chain goes up because that's shipping, and everything that goes with that information is all triggered by this digital solution that I can offer you. So, it's a loaded answer, and that's a more pharmaceutical driven answer. But the point that I want to make is that people need services. They always have. And there's information out there. There's always been information. So you want to be the guy that says, okay, this person needs services. I've got the information. Let me produce a digital solution that makes that seamless. And for that, you will pay me a fee. And we can chart that. We can just look at top line revenue. You're making $100,000 a day. With my solution, you see you're making closer to $200,000.